Well, good morning. Another day, another donut in America as the bullshit just keeps coming over the spillway. Now, I just watched a Trey Gowdy episode with Chrissy Wallace on Fox. Arguing about the validity of the investigation against Trump and whether or not they were prejudiced in protecting Hillary. Really? Prejudiced? Prejudiced. Let's see. Prejudicial, to prejudge. To go into any situation with an opinion so strong that any rendering of your opinion other than what you prescribed is rendered null and void, is, in other words, it's an impossibility to think or act fairly in any given matter. So we have all the illegalities of Hillary Clinton, too numerous to mention. But up until the campaign ended, just think about the tarmac meeting. The illegal servers, totally illegal. Not somewhat illegal, not kind of illegal, totally illegal. Okay? Handling top secret classified information on those servers and emails, totally illegal. Any soldier would go to jail for a very long period of time. As many have, by the way. One submarine naval guy taking pictures off the conning tower. It got him a lot of time. I have to tell you that we engage in the rhetoric of this charade. And Mueller, I don't know what kind of whore you are, but in the pantheon of whores, you make Jezebel look like Mary Poppins. I don't know why you don't blow your brains out, Mueller. Because you got to stink like an old can of tuna. You know what I'm talking about, pal? I look at Comey and I see this effeminate 6'7" hermaphrodite. And I almost feel sorry for him. Because that's the guy that got beat up on a regular basis. Because that's nature. People want to philosophize or why does that happen? It's nature. When you look that weird, children of normality are wired to run you off. Nobody gives a classroom on how to run off freaks. It's intrinsic to our nature. Just watch kids in the playground. You could call it bullying, you could call it what you want, but in nature, scum like that is run off from the get-go. You know what the FBI does? They seek them out to hire them. Passive-aggressive, B-type, beta, soy boy specimens. That's what they do. Like McCabe, this runt. Best part of him ran down, what of his mother's rear end. I just have to look at these people. Clap on clapper. Look at this genetic freak. Hollywood, with all their ingenuity and imagination, has never come up with a Dr. Strangelove as weird as Clapper. He is Dr. Strangelove mixed with Uncle Fester. How do you find a guy like that? How about Brennan, the head of the Klingons? That guy's been circling Uranus since he was an altar boy. Think about it. I just got to look at the guy and say, this guy looks like every bad man who was ever on a Superman episode. He's the bad guy on Superman. Like Bernard Kerik. That's all I got to do is look at him. Physiognomy and somotyping. Look at their face, and man, you know what they are. And all of these FBI creeps running on to CNN and MSNBC to proffer their beatitudes on everything from Osama bin Laden. We created a monster. And this is what I wanted to talk about this morning. Because this is now the sum total of what we've subsidized as a society. Calling these people heroes and first responders and yada, 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 and thanking them, like yesterday in all these hearings, the endless, unbelievable, painstaking way these suck-up politicians have to thank these FBI people for their service. What are they? Are they walking a post in Afghanistan or Quantico? They wear silk suits and they run around like movie stars. And we got to thank them for their service. Mr. Ray with a W? Ray. You can call me Ray, or you can call me Jay, but you doesn't have to call me Johnson. You remember those commercials? Mr. Ray with a W. This stuff is like caricature cartoons. But we have invested in this ethos that these people are supermen and heroes when their neighbors all know they're a bunch of regular jerk-offs at best. At best. I'm not talking about every FBI agent doing his job. They know who they are. Guess what? Those guys, go up and pay them a compliment or thank them for what they do. They'll laugh at you. Because they're proud to be a good agent and they're proud to do their job. And they don't need some idiot like me coming up and kissing their rear end. They'd probably be suspicious, as they ought to be. Somebody starts laying platitudes on me and compliments, and they don't know me or what I do, I'm suspicious. That's a confidence man. In the meantime, getting back to what I was going to say, when you invest in this kind of cause célèbre with your civil servants, you're going to have a problem, because pretty soon they don't think they answered anybody. And pretty soon they're going to fancy themselves little gods that have the right to pick who your leaders ought to be. You know that never happened in Nazi Germany? Hitler ruled from the top down. He didn't have any of his underlings, like Emil Maurice, a Jew, first in command of the Waffen-SS. Look it up. Emil Maurice. Imagine that. Head of the Waffen-SS was a Jew. But you don't learn that in school because they don't want you to know. I could give you 10 other examples of that, by the way. But none of them told Hitler what to do. None of them told the German people who to elect. They politicked for Hitler. They didn't make the decision for the Reichstag or the German people. So we have a really unique, sick situation here. It's kind of like quasi-Bolshevism as it evolved. Now, I knew Obama was a criminal. I made how many videos where I was October 20th, 1981, when I saw two cops that I knew. One, I was in his wedding. That was Sergeant Eddie O'Grady, Nyack PD. And Waverly Brown, who I met from time to time in Nyack, and was the sweetest, most wonderful guy you ever met in your life. Killed by Bill Ayers in the Weather Underground. The anointer. The John the Baptist of Obama. Now, can you imagine, people, if you had that on your resume or in your file? What would the FBI treat you like? You were cavorting with cop killers and people who blew up judges' homes. You wouldn't get a job selling popcorn at the movie theater. But the Democrats elected and nominated and elected a president named Obama, which rhymes with Osama. Say it out loud. Barack Hussein Obama, Saddam Hussein Osama. Yeah, that could happen. If you don't think the deep state manufactured this guy, because we'll never know where he was born, but I know he was never seen in any classroom in Columbia. And I know he went to Occidental on a student exchange visa, so sort that out. And I know you can't be a lawyer barred with an AKA, Barry Soetoro, AKA Barack Hussein Obama. But we'll just keep here engaging in a circle jerk while they keep throwing hyperbole, nonsense, unicorns, and Easter bunnies at us, because that's all their reality is on the left. And you people out in reality world, for you not to be literally out in the street demanding justice and truth, there's something wrong with you. I mean, this is perfected apathy. This is beyond imagination. But here's the other thing. We've seen how many movies about the FBI? Donnie Brasco, The Departed, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon and Marky Wahlberg, and Martin Sheen playing an a Boston State Police commander. And there's Whitey Bulger, played by Jack Nicholson, who was turned out to be an informant for the FBI for years and years. And do you know how many people Whitey Bulger killed? Scores. And we have a whole industry of undercover busting by cops throughout this country. You wonder why the black people are so upset? I don't blame them. Do you think anybody in this country is safe from a bad cop throwing a bag of drugs in your car to arrest you and seize your property? Do you think that's such a remote possibility? I never did a drug in my life, never touched one, never drank. I'm not Mary Poppins, I just never understood that ridiculous behavior. I don't get it. But I'll tell you, when your cops and FBI guys act like criminals to catch criminals, one day the piper has to be paid. And one day you have a whole constabulary, a whole industry of schizophrenic, pathological gangsters. And I believe that's what our police state has become. So this would be my rule. You don't have to be a crook to catch a crook. You don't employ crooks to catch other crooks. And I know these guys are probably laughing. Listen to this little naive twit. Well, I'll tell you what. I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But I'll tell you what else I would do. You sell drugs illegally in this country, twice, the second time you get hung. No injection, hung. Public square, everybody has to watch. Until the whole world understands there's a price for murdering innocent people. But we don't do that. We lock them up and let them go, and lock them up and let them go. What does that do? Builds us a lot of jails. We got more people in prison this day in the United States of America that were in prison in the whole world 100 years ago. For this nonsense charade, this game. Feed judges, crooked lawyers, public defenders and prosecutors. That's all this is.